didn't really like it, and I didn't really want to play like that. After I already addressed it, and it don't happen again for for 2 or 3 years in Minnesota. But yeah, you get to New York, now now you want to now you want to push the button again. After I already addressed it and told you that that ain't the vibe, that ain't cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. Also, thanks for joining us on YouTube. This is the time of week where we normally have a guest join us, coming to us live from Chicago, Illinois. Number 7 for the Chicago White Sox, Tim Anderson. Tim, it's been an interesting weekend and change. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure. How we doing? You doing all right?
Hey, man, dude, I'm all good, man. So, how did we get here, right? I guess it was actually funny. I was on the phone with a colleague, and he had seen the dust up in the game. I guess it was on Saturday. And he's like, I just can't figure out what's going on with Tim Anderson and Josh Donaldson. Like, this doesn't seem to even be anything to do with him. And then I saw the post-game stuff and sent him the link and was like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. So from your side, how did this all play out?
I can say it started back in 2019. He made that comment, then. And I told him, I was like, bro, we ain't never got to speak. You ain't never got to talk to me if that's how you're gonna label me. But that goes back to off of an interview I had did. Not necessarily comparing myself to him, but I was saying that he broke the color barrier, and that year in 2019 I did the bat flip, and so I was like, I'm breaking the fun barrier, and a little bit after that. A lot of guys' personality starts showing. You start seeing more bat flips, and that wasn't really comparing myself to him. So I guess he had the needs to try to say that comment to me. But I wasn't really interested in making that an inside joke, you could say.
Yeah, I think the thing that for people as they were observing it was, he was like, oh, we've been joking about this. This is a thing that we've done for years. I don't know why it is a problem right now. So, but it sounds like to you, it happened this one time and you said, don't do that. And then it happened again, but it doesn't sound like you remember anything in the middle.
Yeah, I had already addressed it in 19 when we played against him in Atlanta. And, he signed 2-3 year deal in Minnesota. You know how many times we played them, they're in our division. That never happened. And yet we, I think like 2 weeks ago I slid back into third, and he dropped his knee on me, and he could have damaged my arm, shoulder, anything. So I was kind of frustrated a little bit, so I pushed him off me. That was it. Nothing really serious about that. And so I guess he was still carrying over that same smoke from then, and I wasn't really really trying to bother dude. And he kind of said that coming as well, when we got to New York. And but it happened so quick. He said in the first inning, and then right after he got on second, somebody got a base hit, so he scored. And so he got back on base again and came back around, and it was the end of the inning. It was the third out. And as you can see the video of me, trying to walk off the field, he said again, you can go whenever you get ready. And I was like, meet me in the tunnel. I already been in a lot of trouble, from just, I stuck the middle finger, and so I wasn't really trying to get in too much trouble, because they kind of spared me a little bit. I didn't get a suspension. I just talked to a couple of people and made it right. And so it was just. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was curious. Like, what were you thinking when you heard him do the post game and say that it was an inside joke? Because I think one of your teammates made the point that I was thinking, which is inside jokes are normally between friends.
Right. Yeah, that was a joke. You know what I mean? So we don't have no relationship to be able to have an inside joke. Never look for a relationship, never look for a friendship, never look for anything, besides just competing against you. We never really had a conversation, at all. And, really wasn't looking for it, especially after 19. I told him that, we ain't never got to talk. I ain't never got to talk to you. And let's just keep it at that. You never said anything to me before then, so don't say nothing to me now.
Were you surprised by how strong Tony La Russa was in his response to this?
Knowing our relationship, I wasn't, really surprised. He always got my back. We built we have a strong bond. But for the most part, I would say that it was disrespectful. We always say disrespectful. We didn't find it as a joke. And as you can see, you know, my teammates and, you know, the organization, you know, they definitely, you know, have my back. They know what kind of person I am. You know, they know what I go through on a day-to-day basis, and you know, they understand it.
Yeah, I will say this. I remember the Jackie Robinson quote came in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and I did turn up an eyebrow just a little bit because the way
Yeah.
it was presented, at least, it definitely sounded. I was like, "Hey, man, flipping the bat is not the same thing."
Yeah,
Is what is what this dude was going
but
through.
that's just how they labeled the article. It wasn't never really, you know, presented that way. And you know, that's just happened to be the headline on the article. And at that point, you know, I can't really do anything about that, but you know, roll with it. And I'm not gonna, you know, try to explain to everybody what I meant. If you read it
Mhm.
and you understand it, you'll get it.
All right, I got you there. Now I want to get back to La Russa, and you talk about the bond you had because when La Russa got this job, and I think this is also kind of interesting,
Mhm.
where you know me being a little bit older, I've been paying attention to Tony La Russa now for almost 40 years,
Right.
right? And when people heard that he got this White Sox job, I think you were the first person a lot of us thought about and were like,
Yeah.
Tony La Russa is going to be managing Tim Anderson. And that seems like that seems like an oil and water mix to people.
Yeah.
But you say you guys have established that bond. So I'm curious how that bond wound up being developed.
You know, you can't really go off what, you know, a lot of people say or you know what was in the past. I only can go off what I experienced. So it's just one of the things that I, you know, I had to learn it myself, you know, see for myself. You know, he never crossed me, never did anything, you know, negative to me. So I can't really go off other people's energy on how they feel towards him. So it was just one of those things that, you know, I wanted to create my bond with him myself. And man, he's super competitive. He's super competitive and you know, I ain't got a bad thing to say about him.
Yeah, I guess he also managed Ricky Henderson, which I imagine would be a hell of a training ground for getting to you, because like
Yeah.
Ricky Henderson was doing what you're doing except 40 years ago.
Right, right. And man, it's just one of those things that it's different, you know, when you're not in it. And when you're on the outside looking in, you just never really know, you know, what's really going on.
Yeah. So for you right now, being Tim Anderson playing baseball, like one thing I was thinking about with the Josh Donaldson thing is something that you get in baseball that you don't really get anywhere else is opposing players just standing around each other with nothing else to do but really talk, right?
Right.
Like sometimes the talk could be fun, sometimes it's not. So I wonder, like, as these things like this interview come and the bat flips and stuff like that, what is like as a second baseman almost like your interactions with other players? Like, how often does it get to a place where you feel like somebody might be going a little too far?
Um, I mean, I don't really, you know, I don't really have a lot of dudes that I really, you know, talk to in the game of baseball, you know, besides my teammates and, you know, a couple other guys that I come across, you know, but you know, other than that, man, I really just stay in my lane. I'm out there to compete and try to beat you. You know, I'm not there to make friends. You know, my job is to make you not want to play against me. So I'm not really, you know, looking to build a relationship, friendship with any other guys, really. But you know, I do have guys that I come across, and you know, we speak, and you know, other than that, we keep competing.
Yeah. Now, we've talked before about just, you know, black participation in baseball
Yeah,
and in the major leagues in particular, and the numbers being where they are. And you've been someone who's absolutely called out like this is a thing that needs to be changed. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. But as a black baseball player now,
yeah,
like, like the question almost seems too simple to be like, what is the experience for you? But especially now being Tim Anderson, right?
yeah.
Like the flag bearer in a lot of ways for a kind of different attitude in being baseball, like being in baseball. Like, have you felt a responsibility or any kind of burden that comes along
Yeah.
with that, or just something that you're aware of and think needs to change?
I never really felt, you know, no burden or really needed to carry weight. It was just always, you know, I was being myself. You know, this just what happened to come with it. And I'm cool, you know, with whatever comes with it. It's not like it's, you know, I'm trying to do anything. I'm just going out and playing and, you know, perfecting my craft and, you know, getting better each and every day. But this just what follow along with it. So it's not really a, you know, a burden or really a task. It's just, you know, you just keep living and keep taking it day to day. You know, I guess you could say it's my purpose, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say you lean like you do definitely do like lean into it. Like when the videos first started popping up on the internet, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, he know he making him mad.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
enjoying
Yeah,
this.
it's something different, but you know, you got to understand what you stand for. You know, like you said, not a lot of black people play baseball, so that was one way to, you know, to get those eyes. You know, whether I put, you know, certain music over over certain highlights just to get attention that, like, I'm a real one that's playing baseball, what I represent. And that was one reason why, I did drop a lot of, content with all type of music behind it just to get those eyes. But now it's just, it's just really, I mean, if you don't know me now, then it's cool. I'm cool on it. I just go out and just try to do the best that I can and play hard as I can and then see where it takes me for real.
Well, one thing that you had also said a couple of years ago was that, baseball's a little slow, it's a little boring, and like it almost read as though it made people question like how much you enjoy baseball. But I feel like when I hear you talk about it now, it does sound like you're like having more fun playing baseball than you were before.
Yeah, definitely, because I understand the game a lot more, and I've been through those struggles, and now I'm just able to enjoy it, and whatever happens and leave it at the field. And I kind of not saying I know what I'm doing, but I understand what I'm doing, and just trying to keep perfecting that. But I'm definitely enjoying. How many people get to wake up and not enjoy their job, and I get to go out here and play in front of, go to different states and play in front of thousands of people. Like, I mean, that's a blessing.
Well, you talk about understanding the game better. Like, what would you say is the biggest thing that you understand better now than you did when you first came up?
I'm say just being able to slow the game down. Hitting is probably one of the main things you need to know. Obviously defense. I know I got to perfect that. I'm not the best at defense, but if my defense could catch up with my bat, then the sky's the limit. So it's just one of those things, man. You just got to keep working. And you're trying to beat you at every angle, whether it's on the base pass, defense, offense, whether it's just being a clubhouse guy or being a leader. I don't really talk a lot. I just lead by example.
So one thing I always find interesting in talking about professional athletics is people who don't understand just how high the level is to participate, like not realizing that the last man on the bench in the NBA would destroy you, right? Yeah. Like that level. Yeah. I mean, you'd probably destroy most people, and you play in baseball, right? Yeah. Like people don't understand that point. So like, is there anything with baseball that you look at and you're like, man, I wish people understood how hard this was?
Man, there's no level higher than this. Man, you're talking about 162 games. You're talking about going, 3-game series in this state with a day game and going to this state with a night game, and a night game have to travel out of that. Not really knowing how your body gonna feel on the plane, or you in and out of hotel, living out of suitcase. It's a grind. It's a grind, but you understand what you sign up for and understand, what you're trying to do. Then you're gonna be all in. I'm all in, but we just go out and make it look easy, and people don't really understand. People don't really see, the work that we put in before that. The work that we put in way before we got to this level. So it's one of those. It's tough until you get in there, until you try to grab a bat and grab a glove and try to do it yourself.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how fast that ball moves. Like I remember this, man, when I was in graduate school, I played an intramural softball league, and I hadn't played any baseball or softball in who knows how long. Yeah. But when I played Little League, man, I was pretty good. I made some all-star teams. You know what I'm saying? I had some defense. I was a well-known first baseman in those circles. Man, I'm playing in the softball league, and there's always the one dude who played like high school baseball or like low-level college baseball. And he was playing shortstop. I was playing first base. And I forget what happened, but he decided he really needed to whip it across to get to me. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe how fast that ball was moving. It had been like 10 years since I had tried to do that. And we just talk about a throw across the diamond. We're not even talking about a pitch.
That's what I'm saying.
And I almost jumped up. Like when people use the phrase throw like a girl, like it's the wrong phrase, but you know exactly what it's envisioning. Right. Yeah. I looked like that except trying to catch a softball. It was like, ah! And I jumped up and I was just like, man, I just don't think this in particular, if people really knew just how hard it is to do even the things that look easy in baseball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're playing against guys from young age all the way to grown men. And you trying to beat them at every angle. Man, it's a tough game for sure. Definitely. You can't. I don't think you could take anybody out any other sport and put them in baseball, but I think you could probably take a couple people out of baseball and put them at other sports. I'm not saying they're gonna succeed either, but it's gonna look like they've been there versus taking a football player, basketball player, and be like, hey, go pitch. It's gonna look crazy because it's different. It's definitely different for sure.
Yeah. So when we talk about like the personality and stuff in the game, I don't know if you'd seen this a couple of months ago where Ronald Acuna was talking about Freddie Freeman holding him down and taking the eye black off when he was a rookie. Like a big part of baseball involves a lot of that humbling of young guys.
Yeah.
And I was curious, what if you had that experience yourself when you came up? Because obviously, I mean, the way people use the word humbled, it ain't work if they did.
Yeah. I didn't really have that, that crazy experience because I was one of the guys that, I always kept to myself. I wasn't really talkative. I was just observing and learning my surroundings until I got comfortable. And then I got comfortable, and then, it's kind of, I'm kind of in that position, not saying that I was a vet out the gate, but, I kind of built it up to become a vet to where I don't really have to experience certain things. But, for the most part, I was really low key and just, just playing. I wasn't really, I didn't need a whole lot at that time.
Yeah, so I'm curious, you're from Tuscaloosa, right? I know you're from Alabama.
Yeah, for sure.
You live in Chicago, and I think people who don't fully understand Chicago don't realize that is a very common path. The move from Chicago, move to Mississippi, get to Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So I've always like, for a guy like you, like, what's the city like to be living in?
It's dope. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, Alabama, kind of like Tuscaloosa, but it's just a bigger city. One reason I moved here was to network. I think I've been here since, 2017, since I signed my deal. I instantly, moved here. I mean, it's only right that I be in the city that I'm playing in and kind of learn around the city, get some connections, continue to keep building a brand and keep going. And, now we're here.
Oh, so you're around there for the cold months too.
Yeah. I mean, if I could be here for the cold months, then when the season over, we already got a head start on people.
Mm-hmm. So what was your first Chicago winter like?
Yeah, definitely different. Definitely different. I never seen anything like it. It was definitely different for sure. Freezing.
Well, so I think the thing that happens when you from the South and you move up, the biggest thing you realize is you thought you had a coat.
Yeah,
like you
for
thought
sure.
you had a jacket.
Yeah, for sure. You gotta get a bigger one.
I gotta say, I got here and I was in New York and I was just like, oh, okay. So basically I need to get the best jacket that I can afford. Yeah. Like that's what this is. This little coat that had been holding me down through all these other places.
Don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing.
So how you feel about the team this year?
I think we're in a good spot. We had a couple of injuries. Other than that, man, the vibes is good. It's a family. We got each other back. We go out and compete and have fun. It's been a little tough stretch, but going through a bunch of things. Not really meeting other people's expectations. But we get the process. We understand the process. It's a long season. But the vibes are good for sure.
Well, you talked about, learning and understanding and the grind of 162 games. And I do wonder that, like, how you keep it going for 162 games, because they expect you to run hard all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. You just got to be realistic. You know what I mean? You hit some hard right to the guy, you catch it. Like, there's a chance that he's going to throw you out. He's going to make a good throw. But, for the most part, you got to be smart. You got 50% that day, then, give them 100% of that 50%, be realistic, to try to, stay healthy for a whole season.
Yeah. Baseball question for you. Who's the pitcher that you absolutely do not want to see is starting tomorrow?
I ain't came across one yet.
Not a single one.
I ain't came across one yet. I don't really, I want to face them all. I want to face the best. That's how you be the best. But other than that, I don't really like to give, a guy, one up on me. And I feel like I give you an answer, then I'm giving the guy one up on me.
even if it's the numbers, you can because y'all know the numbers. The dude, they be like, man, I'm 3 for 22. You know who that cat is. You're just not gonna tell us.
I ain't gonna tell you. Yeah, what for? Then he gonna feel like he the man.
All right. Well, who you got though? If I say so, who are you like? Oh, you see who playing the ball? You see who pitching the ball?
For real, it ain't too many. I pretty much, I'm trying to get everybody. It ain't really no pitch out there that I just really, want to pick on. I really want to pick on all of them. But you know how I do it, man. I just break it down. Break it down game by game, series by series, and do my homework and understand what guys trying to do to me, how they trying to pitch me, and come up with a plan. And go out and attack them, and what it is at the plate, on the base path, and it's plenty of ways to beat you. You just got to be able to do it, and understand and know and learn, and how to do it.
That was really nice of you. Because you know who that other guy
Yeah,
is too.
yeah. I got to
You
show,
know who that is.
show love, but then don't give love. You feel me?
Now it's funny when because I was growing up, I grew up in Houston, and Nolan Ryan was like the ultimate example in two ways. Because there was this dude Claudell Washington, he struck out something like literally 40 times in his career. Like you could just mark it down.
Yeah.
First time Will Clark batted against Nolan Ryan in 1986. First pitch, first swing as a major league player, he took him into like the 15th row at the Astrodome and just owned him for the rest of the time that they went.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation. It was almost like no explanation. It was just like, for some reason, I get this guy. And for some reason, this other guy just can't do nothing with it. I guess one of those quirk things with baseball.
It's different. It's different. You got to have it. You got to have it every day. And you got to know exactly what you're doing. Man, it's tough, definitely, for sure. You got a lot, a lot of baseball history.
Oh, yeah. If I say it's wild, though. I know a lot of baseball history, but my baseball present game just isn't as strong as it was. Because like when you watch a baseball team, you kind of got to watch that one team every game, and you learn the whole league by doing that, right? True. And so when you lose the time to follow that one team, you just wind up like bouncing around, and you don't ever like fully know who anybody is. But like growing up, that was the thing for me is, I'm a little older than you, but like growing up 80s and 90s, being black and like being into baseball, that wasn't a discussion. Like that wasn't a thing. You know, nobody's looking at you funny. Sure. And then I remember I look up, and I graduated high school in 97. I look at the baseball team, and I'm in high school, and it's only one black dude on it, and he let the white people call him Shadow. You see what I'm saying? Like something had flipped, and to this day, I don't really have it. It's not like one day somebody was like, yo, we don't even do baseball no more. Yeah. But then you just looked up, and we wasn't doing baseball no more.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's a tough sport, and being black, you get hit with the ball one time, they're gonna turn you away from it for sure. But a lot of us don't really, stick with it. We play as we young, but like you said, man, that ball coming 90-something. Who trying to hit that? Who trying to line that?
But let me tell you who else coming fast too, though. Strong safeties, linebackers. Like my thing is, and I imagine that you experienced some of this in Alabama. They've decided we can play football. They keeping baseball, like they got to have something for their kids to play. Baseball, I think, is what they hold on to. But football, like you were a basketball player, as I recall. But once you show some ability in that, the game is pushing you toward that direction. Like that's been my theory about a big part of how we wind up here.
Yeah, I was more, I could say I was more basketball. I didn't really tap back into baseball I didn't really take baseball serious until I really kind of got in pro ball, because it was just something to do. I was really wanting to hoop, because all my homies hoop. I didn't really have too many friends that played baseball. I just felt, different in baseball. I didn't feel like I could be myself fully in baseball, because I didn't really, know a lot of people. And basketball just so high energy, man. You dunk on somebody, they're gonna let you know. You cross somebody, you know how crazy it is in basketball versus what baseball is just, sit, throw, hit, catch, and show no emotions. So, but that's kind of where I got, the passion from, just from, bringing that for basketball and just, having a lot of energy, and just being up tempo was something that I always, know how to play.
You wasn't here for the football?
No, I went for the football. Like I ain't finna let nobody hit on me like that. I'm finna go out there and try to hit on nobody. I played when I was like 9 and 10 for like 2 years, but it didn't stick. I ain't like that.
I mean, I imagine they were trying to get you out there though. Like you got the skill set to do that.
Yeah, stuff. For sure. I made a bet with like a couple of my homies, to go out for spring ball in high school. And, I went out and, I killed it, but that was just a bet. That was it, So I didn't stay on the team. I didn't want to play. I just wanted to show them that I could play, and I enjoyed it. But man, you talking about going out getting hit every day. That ain't fun, man.
Now, are you like a Roll Tide fan?
Yeah, for sure. I'm right in the mix of it.
What'd you think about this stuff last week with Saban?
Man, different. I try I try to stay out of the way of, but you heard what he said, and then he come back and he apologized as well. So he kind of understood that he knew that he made a mistake, and the only thing right is to try to go fix it.
I give you credit, boy. You gonna have your fun playing baseball, but you ain't gonna let me or nobody else walk you into no fire.
No, never. What for? Then I'm gonna have to clean it up again. What for? So I'll be real careful and understand. That's why I reached out to you, because I like the content that you be putting out, and you be honest. You keep it real. You keep it 100 for sure.
I appreciate it, man, because it was with the Josh Donaldson thing. It was so interesting when I was watching it. And I was just like, oh, I know exactly what happened here.
Yeah.
He thinks we joking.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that he had been told, bro,
Yeah.
we not joking.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a joke, you know, we was serious. And you know, when I get mad, you know, I don't really be bothering people, man. I be staying to myself and just, you know, doing my thing. I don't really, you know, really pick with people. And you know, yeah, it's just one of those things that, you know, that did with me a little bit. And you know, I ain't really like it. And I didn't really want to play like that. After I already addressed it. And you know, it don't happen again for, you know, for 2 or 3 years in Minnesota. But yeah, you get to New York. Now you want to push the button again. I thought I already addressed it and told you that, you know, that ain't the vibe. That ain't cool.
Mm-hmm. I want to get one last thing on that before we wrap this up. Is there are not as many people as there used to be black people playing baseball, but there are really not that many black people covering baseball. Mm-hmm. So being Tim Anderson and dealing with the media and the people that come in the clubhouse on a regular basis, like in a situation like this, do you feel uncomfortable or like a difficulty in dealing with media? Because I think there are a lot of people who, even if they mean well, they can't see what I can see when they look at this because they don't have that experience. And so how does that affect you when it's time to talk to media about this stuff? Because you ultimately do have to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you just be very careful with, you know, with how you word things, you know, nowadays, and especially so many media outlets in the locker room, you just got to be smart with what you say. And don't forget that you always the driver of the conversation, that you always drive whatever the topic is. And, you know, you can give them what you really want, or you can give them less, you know, and, you know, I gave them less. I just touched on it, but I knew that I was going to link with you, that I'll be able to be comfortable in a comfortable setting to be able to, you know, really tell what's really going on. So it's just the fact of, you know, you always control the situation, and however you want to go about it, you choose. And that's something that I've been, you know, very good and very selective on is picking and choosing as who I want to talk to. And that's why I wrote you. I was like, man, you know, let's chop it up, because I know that I could be comfortable and I could really, you know, really have a good conversation bouncing off of you to really, you know, let the people understand, you know, where I'm coming from and what I mean.
Well, dude, I greatly appreciate it. And since you weren't able to say it before, I'll just say here to you, Mr. Michael Pineda. Apparently, you don't want no problems with Tim Anderson. This hadn't worked out so well for you. Let's see who else. Oh, Nick Pavetta. No, Nick Pavetta, you doing all right, but Ian Kennedy. Ooh, man. Yeah. Oh, dang, it wasn't going so good for Felix Hernandez either. You can put that on your Hall of Fame plaque.
Yeah, you can put Matthew Boyd up there too.
On the other hand, you got to do something better with Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably you know, that's probably before I even knew my stuff. You know, now I know my stuff. I'm in a good spot. You know, I know my homework and I learn it. So, you know, if time presents itself again, then, you know, I'll be ready. You know, I ain't gonna say what's gonna happen, but you know, I'll be well prepared before. I'll be real prepared now.
I'm amazed at how you guys can remember all of these, because we're talking about hundreds of pitches, right? Yeah. But you not just remembering how you do against it, but remembering the tendencies and everything else. Like, that's just mind blowing for me.
But you're gonna remember guys that you pick on. You know what I mean? You're gonna remember the guys you pick on because you want them, like you just said, you want them to be on the mound again, so you can get you 2, 3 hits a day. You feel me? So you're gonna always remember the guys that you know, put up good numbers on.
I say you and your agent. Your agent is definitely like, oh yeah, there we go.
I'm telling you, yeah, for sure.
Hey man, that is Tim Anderson, my man. Thank you so much for coming on. And people, he mentioned it. Tim hit me up yesterday and was like, look, man, let's talk about this. And I said, cool. And I appreciate the trust that you have in us and being able to do this, man. And keep doing what you do, dog. It's appreciated.
For sure. I appreciate you always.
All right, man. All good.
All right.
Certain people just make my life so much easier. I don't know what I'd do without them. Like my man Gabe. How you think this show works so well? It ain't because of me. It's like if you own a growing business and need to hire. ZipRecruiting makes hiring so much easier because they do the work for you. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter uses powerful technology to find and match the right candidates up with your job. You can easily review and recommend candidates and invite your top choices to apply. Additionally, ZipRecruiter has a complete suite of tools that makes it easy to filter, review, and rate your candidates. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2 satisfaction ratings as of January 1st, 2022. In fact, the hardest thing you have to do is to remember our special URL, ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. That's where you go to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, it's ZipRecruiter.com/BOMANI. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Support for this podcast and the following message comes from Supercuts. Let's face it, life is busy. Between work, family, and more work, our to-do lists have a way of getting longer instead of shorter. Luckily, Supercuts is here to make at least the haircut part of life easy. Supercuts is perfect for people who need a haircut but don't have a ton of time for a haircut. No more scouring the web for salons with availability. You can use the Supercuts app to find the location nearest to you and check in, or just walk in. Another bonus, the salon shows estimated wait time so you know exactly what you're in for. That way, you're only in salon when you need to be. Don't expect to stay a while. As for the cut itself, it's always super solid thanks to Supercuts' highly trained stylists. Get in, get out, and get to that thing you needed a haircut for. Whether you've got a big presentation coming up or a wedding, or you just need some upkeep, Supercuts makes getting a haircut effortless. It's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com. I want to thank the Dallas Mavericks for absolutely nothing. Like, are they the ones I should be thanking for nothing, or the Warriors the ones that I should be thanking for nothing? And I'm not just doing this for me. Like, I'm doing this for the homies. I'm doing this for all my people covering that series who got to jump on a plane from Dallas all the way to San Francisco just because that series ain't get closed out. To go there for one game. You know how mad, we know how this thing gonna end. You know how mad all those people gonna be if they got to jump on a plane after that and go back to Dallas. Like, one thing I do recognize is that ain't nobody really trying to hear about how hard the job is for the media. And I get that. And you shouldn't think about how hard the job is for me, like in the job that I do. But I ain't got an airplane job. Those cats that got airplane jobs, no. Don't get it twisted. That job is really hard and like destroys families and relationships and everything else because of all the demands and everything else. Like, I'm just telling you right now, I get it. You may not want to hear the complaints, but them dudes that's out there doing that beat writing, they don't make nearly as much money as you think they do. And the stress they under is real. It is serious. And now they got to get on a plane to go back to San Francisco again. Some of them folks got to front they hotel rooms and get the money back. You know how much San Francisco costs? That's crazy. Anyway, I want to just say I thank them for nothing. All of them. Because, man, we was going to get some nights off. And maybe we still might get some nights off, right? Because we got the Miami-Boston series as of this recording is tied 2-2. That thing might go 7. And I'd love a 7-game series. But if we could just sneak a couple nights off in between where we can just get a little bit of rest, bruh, wouldn't that have been fantastic? But hell no. I get in the car after the Sports Emmys. I look at my phone and the Mavericks are winning by 30 points. Right? And so then after that, the who you call them? The Warriors, you know, they put in the other dudes, cats I ain't never heard of in the game. And by the way, they was balling. It was Jordan Poole and the Pips. And the Pips was balling. And they was bringing that down. And that's such a tough one, I imagine, for Steve Kerr. Because, you know, on one hand, you should leave them dudes in there because they the ones that got the lead back. But on the other hand, they was in the game because you thought the game was over. Right? Like, you do kind of got to go back to your guys, even though they was out there getting beat by 30 points. And then he went back to his guys and the Mavericks like finally went ahead and turned that around. But man, I was sitting there. I'm with Charles Barkley. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Charles Barkley a few days ago had a thing where he got on and he said that the reason he was picking the Mavericks is just because he hates the Warriors fans. And God knows I agree. I don't like you. I don't. Right? Okay, that's one thing about it. You can say what you think about my basketball takes, but my takes on people, you ain't never had no issue with that. Random thought, by the way, this doesn't have anything to do with anything really that we're talking about, but every now and then I get bored and go on Basketball Reference and just look at stuff. And So my NBA nerds of sorts, the 2013 draft is legendarily miserable. You know what I mean? That's the one that Anthony Bennett was the number one pick in that draft. Now, the year after that was the 2014 draft. Yes, hooray me, I can count. But the 2014 draft, and the 2014 draft was supposed to be, we thought about it going in, one of the greatest drafts of all time. Like, that's what we were thinking. That was a draft that people thought had literally 3 franchise players in it. Like, Milwaukee had Jabari Parker as the number 2 pick. Jabari Parker, who had already been on the cover of Sports Illustrated coming out of high school and everything else. And they were so excited because Parker being from Chicago, getting him to play in Milwaukee, like Chicago's only 90 minutes away by car, a literal 10 minutes by plane. And you could live in like North Chicago and commute to Milwaukee if you wanted to. So they felt like if they got it to work with Jabari Parker, they not only had a superstar, but a superstar that they weren't going to have to fight that hard to get him to stay. Like, that's what they thought they had in Parker. And most people thought they did. It was like, as long as you got one of the top 3 picks, you were going to wind up being good. Let me tell you how bad the 2014 draft was. You want to know who is 4th in win shares? I see you to do it this way. You want to know who is 2nd in win shares out of that draft? Clint Capella. I lie to you not. Clint Capella. Now, there's a reason why Clint Capella is 2nd in that draft in win shares. And the reason is the 2 best players out of that draft haven't played all the seasons since that draft. Jokic is number 1 in win shares out of that draft, but he only played 7 years out of the 8. Joel Embiid only played, honestly, 5.5 years out of the 8. He's 3rd in win shares. And you want to know who's 4th? And this is why I brought it up in this conversation. 4th in win shares out of that whole draft is Dwight Powell. Now, I'm not saying that to say that Dwight Powell is the 4th best player out of this draft. Like, there are all kinds of other guys out of that. Like, I would take Marcus Smart. I would take Julius Randle. I would take Zach LaVine. Like, these are all dudes that I would definitely take over him. But you understand the point that I'm making, right? We are actually in this weird place where we're coming up on the prime of careers of a couple of years where the draft was giving us bupkis. Like, you go to the year before that, and where it gets interesting when you talk about Jabari Parker, because all those things I said, the superstar that they'll be able to get to stay forever, it actually turned out when they drafted Parker, they already had that player, and that player was Giannis. They just didn't realize it because they had taken him the year before. Like, Giannis and Gobert are the 2 best players out of the draft, that 2013 draft, right? And they're going to wind up in the Hall of Fame, so the draft's not going to look ridiculous. Number 3 in win share is Steven Adams. Number 4, Mason Plumlee. And as you start going down there, is he still in the league cases up and down already? All these cats, just bad. Just me. Otto Porter. Speaking of Otto Porter, I hope he gets well soon. I had a thought about Otto Porter. Otto Porter has the most perfect name in all of sports. That's right. Otto Porter has the most perfect name in all those sports. And you know why? And I imagine, by the way, there's somebody listening to this that doesn't know what Otto Porter looks like. Go look up Otto Porter Jr. right now. Give it a Google. Okay? Here's what Otto Porter looks like. 2 things at once. He looked like his name is Otto, and or he looked like his daddy's name is Otto. Otto Porter Jr. Nobody has ever put it all together quite like that. Like, I'm trying to think about if there's anybody else in the NBA whose name fits them perfectly, right? And if you was in a room full of NBA players, like take 20 NBA players, put them in a room, you don't know nothing about them. You don't know nothing about them, right? You coming into the room and all you know is that you looking for Otto's son, Otto. I bet you find him. Oh, excuse me. Are you Mr. Porter? Okay, yes. I have a message for you. I bet you figure it out. Like if you had to go in there and serve him a summons, you wouldn't even you go right straight to that dude and pin that thing on his arm. You know exactly who the man was the second you saw him. Otto Porter Jr. Sorry, guys. This is what happens when we do an interview, and then I just got to tack something on the back end. But I think it's been entertaining. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Thank you for watching us on YouTube. Remember, The Right Time Book Club, King of the World by David Remnick. Check it out. It's a biography of Muhammad Ali. Think you ought to give that a run. Voicemail topic this week, 860-516-4119. That is the number. Go ahead and tell us about what happened that made you go ahead and quit football. Go ahead and give it to us, baby. We are always here for it. Give us that. Remember, follow The Right Time. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.